Alright, today we're going to unbox and set up and give you my initial impressions on the Ingersoll Rand PowerMate GarageMate compressor. It's basically a small upright compressor that's portable, but it only has around a 20-gallon tank on it. So we're going to try it out. We're going to pipe it into the system on the garage here, and then we're going to connect it to another 15 or 20-gallon tank for extra capacity also. The nice thing about this is it has it's a twin cylinder engine on there, so it produces a lot of power at a lower RPM because there's two pistons working to pump the air. So hopefully it's enough for what I need. I'm thinking it will be because I have a direct acting single piston old Sears unit, 15-gallon unit, and it basically provides what I need out here without losing air pressure, let's say, because most of the stuff I use is electric nowadays. So we're going to open it up and see what it's all about. Now, I purchased this at SEMA because they were giving me wholesale prices, and I was already looking at the unit on there, and I got to see it actually in person there. So I said, what the heck, I think it's time to upgrade. The other one is also a direct acting, like I said, oilless system, so it's extra loud, and it's actually in the basement, so that's not so good in the house. So this one's definitely will be a lot quieter. Okay, let's see. I sure got it packaged well. It's not damaged. The box isn't damaged. That's a plus. Let's see what we have inside here. Now, me personally, I'm not going to use the handle or anything like that. So I'll just get in the way. So what we got here, we got some synthetic compressor lubricants, an oiled unit, like I said. We have a wheel. Oh, that's good. A wheel and a bolt to bolt it up. Another wheel right there. We got the handle, which I said I'm not going to use. At least when it's stationary downstairs. And then these two right here, which I'm sure you can't really see, these are actually screw-in air filters for each one of the cylinders on there. And there's like a foam filter inside it. So there's two of those, two cylinders. And it's got a full cage up top here, like a regular full-size compressor with a belt-driven pump on here. So I'll go ahead and get it out of here. Stand her up. This thing's supposed to weigh 200 pounds, so here we go. Nice. There it is. There you go. And you can see the fully caged in belt drive system on here, like the full-size compressors. Get it out of here. Ooh, yeah. It's definitely heavy, and it's definitely top heavy too. Which is fine for my situation, being that's going to be a stationary type unit. But they market this thing as being portable. So let's get it out of here. Then you can go over some of the features. There we go. Nice solid tank on there. Whoa. Okay, so right now you can see it's leaning back a little bit. What else we get in the instructions here? Actual set of instructions. That'd be nice. And let's spin the unit around here for you. Okay. Let's get you in nice and close. So you can see it has a twin cylinder design on here. Here's your oil fill, your sight glass down here for your oil level, and then of course a drain right here for when you do your change outs, and it has regular coupler on here already, or a 1/4 inch NPT standard thread fitting on here to plug in directly to the air system like I'm going to be doing with my piped in air. Has a couple of pressure reliefs on here, one right here. It's got the on off switch right here for the on auto, and over there is the off. Pressure regulator built in to the tank here, which I'll just set on max because out here there's an additional pressure regulator. So we'll max this thing out. And here's another pressure regulator up here. Well, it's like a blow-off valve basically. If the pressure gets too high between these two cylinders on here, it's a crossover pipe right here. And then this right here, not sure what that is right there, but look at the size of the freaking motor on the motor on here. It's absolutely huge to drive the belt, and ultimately the twin cylinder air pump over here is going to pump all the air from the outside air. And of course, right here in the front, these are little caps. Those are for where your filters go. You simply pop the caps off, okay, and then you just screw these into there, and they'll go one on each side like that. Okay, let's see. I have a, I think this thing pulls almost 15 amps, I believe. It's quite a bit. So what I have, where this is located, I actually ran a 20 amp dedicated line just for this compressor from the main panel box there. So you can see the gauge of the wire on here has got to be at least, well, 12, but might be even 10 gauge on here. It's a thick freaking cord. Be plugging in like that. So definitely make sure you have a dedicated outlet just for this. Okay, so it gives you a couple notices. Make sure you add oil before you start it. Don't do anything crazy. And there's a checklist to make sure everything's put together on here and filled before you actually plug it in and get the system up and running. Alright, so let's get our trusty cat claw out. Use that thing for everything. And we'll get these caps off of here. Cut these tags off of here. Make sure I fill it. And I'm actually going to make sure this thing runs and everything sounds fine before I lug it all the way to the basement and have an issue that way. So I'll make sure I get these filters in here. The foam filter's already inside of there. It's just a housing. And you just screw it in. And it should bottom out. Yeah, this thing's definitely top heavy, but look at the size of the motor and the electronics on here. The pump and the electronics, they're just, it's huge for this 20-gallon tank. So that's why I'm thinking I should have no issues running this tank and maintaining, and then my additional 15-gallon I have down there. And plus, believe it or not, with the hoses and my air lines, my 1/2-inch pipe, black pipe I ran up and over to the garage, it all adds to the capacity of the air system. Okay. That's nice and snug. Belts on there, everything looks fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the wheels on here so it's stable, and then we'll go from there with adding oil and making sure it's filled in the sight glass there. Okay. I like how these tires say right here, maximum inflation pressure, 50 psi, not for highway use, because you can't go too fast in this thing, I guess, on the highway. But anyways, what you want to realize is that these are not hard, solid rubber tires. They're actually air inflated. So there's going to be a valve stem. I want that facing out and your bolt to go through like that. and it's facing out so you can get access to it and fill it later down the road. Also, what I noticed was pretty nice on here, these are actual ball bearings inside of here, not bushing. So that's kind of nice also if you're going to be using this for portable reasons. Me, it's just going to go downstairs and be stationary. So go ahead and bolt these on. Okay, next we're going to fill with the oil that they provide in there. We're going to unscrew the cap, put it to the side here, and your drain should be tight already down here. If not, just make sure it's tight. And then we're just going to wash the sight glass on here. What you want to do with any compressor is bring the oil level to the middle of the sight glass. And you want to make sure you give it time to flow down into there also, so you don't overfill it. So use my funnel up top here and we'll fill it. Stuff is like molasses. Now if you can't see it on there, you need to get a flashlight in there and make sure. Let's see what we got here. Have we seen anything? You can see it's at the very bottom right there. So we'll keep going a little at a time so we don't overfill it, especially with this thicker stuff they provide. Of course, this oil's been sitting out in a 30-degree garage. And it looks like we're going to take almost the whole canister out here, which is nice. Should be right there. See how it keeps raising like that? You gotta let it go through and fully drain into here so you don't overfill it. So we're still within that round, that red bubble on there. So we're good. And there's still, I'd say, a quarter of the bottle left. So we're good. We're gonna put our cap back in here and tighten it. Snug it up. All right, let's do a quick walk around of the unit so you can see it in 360 view. And then we're going to go ahead and plug it in. I actually have a 20 amp dedicated circuit out here in the shop too, so we'll be able to test it out. Just give you an idea of what's up top here. The meat and bones. Everything looks really nice and professional. It should be for the price of this unit. You can get 60 or 80 gallon units for about $100 to $200 more, but I wanted the flexibility of this one and the space savings, and of course the how quiet it is, I guess you could say. Give you a quick walk around. Here's the reset button on there. And then down here is the drain condensation. It's pretty easy to get to. Regular ball valve. Here's the belt system and the cage. Over here. And then there's the dual pistons and the actual air feed down into the tank right here. And then here's the regulator line right here for testing pressure and cutoff. So it's a pretty nice unit. It's nice and hefty. It's all cast iron up here. And if I didn't mention it already, it is made to run on 115 volts. It's a single stage compressor. Let's go try it out. All right. Threw the handle on there for the heck of it for transpo. We're going to need this to get it down the stairs anyway safely. Has 2 bolts down here that just set screw it into there. So we'll put it over here. We'll let it run for a little bit. See how quiet or loud it is. Now this cord is not too long, so that's something to keep in mind. Let's get you pointing over here, huh? This cord on here is not too long, so that's something to keep in mind. Make sure you have an outlet close by, be able to set this thing by, pump up on there. Now I'm going to have mine on off when I plug it in. It's always a good idea. No arcing and sparking. I say this cord is about 6 feet on here, so just keep that in mind. Go ahead and plug it into the wall. Alright, we have 0 PSI, what I'm going to do is I'm going to time how long it takes for this unit to, let's bring it even closer here. I'm going to time how long it takes this unit to fill to full capacity from 0. So until it actually shuts off on there. So we'll go ahead and get the stopwatch going. And I'll let you guys know exactly how long it takes. Stopwatch, stopwatch. Sure. Okay, here we go. That sucker is freaking quiet. Real quiet. Abort, abort, abort. The ball valve for the drain down below is open. After they tested it, they drained it out at the factory. Okay, we'll start this again. But yeah, this thing is freaking real quiet. It reminds me of our big 2-stage compressor we had at work. The huge one was 100 and some gallons, I think. At least 100 gallons. And it sounds just like it, but quieter. It's really nice. Oil level's still good. Okay, let's start it over again. Okay, here we go. 0 PSI, and we're gonna flip it on. Okay, it shut off around 135 PSI, and it took 4 minutes and 2 seconds. You can see it there. So it's not too shabby. I guess we're gonna see exactly how much this actually goes on with the amount of air that I use. Like I said, I'm gonna have another 15-gallon tank next to it, so it should be more than enough for my setup here in the garage. I can tell you this garage echoes a lot. You can hear all that, right? And it was darn quiet. So it seems really solid. Doesn't seem like it rattles a lot and it's just junky and it's really cheaply made. It doesn't seem like that at all. I've seen videos of the DeWalt 30-gallon upright like this running, and it sounds like the thing's ready to come apart. This one's just a lot better quality, a more solid unit in general. But time will tell, of course. We will see how this thing actually works out. I'm sure I'll do a full review on this later on. But these are my initial impressions of the units, and they're very good overall. I'm also going to do a future video on my air setup I have for the garage here, my piping, and of course how I attached it to this unit and the other tank downstairs. So look out for that.